before you do any kind of a marketing plan, before you create any kind of a marketing asset, you need to know who it is you're targeting. We've said this time and time and time again. Your ideal customer is one of the very first things as a toolboxer, hey, as a business person, but particularly as a toolboxer. Your ideal customer is the first thing that you need to create, you need to define, you need to understand. And when you do this, when you nail this, it makes everything that you do as far as marketing your business is concerned, it makes everything that you do so much easier. Because once you know who you are targeting, you know how to communicate with them, you know where to find them, you know how and where to place your promotions, you will understand what will work with them and what won't work with them in terms of pains and gains and so on and so forth. And as part of that, understanding who your ideal customer is, you're also defining what makes you unique. Remember, you don't need to be unique to everybody. You only need to be unique to the people that you want to attract to your business. So what is it about what you do will be seen as being unique to your ideal customer? If we take the simple idea of the well, a triangle, the three things that you need to have in place in order to stand out and be unique is, number one, identify who your ideal customer is, because you only want to be unique to that individual. What is the ideal type of work that you are targeting, which is obviously targeting that ideal customer because you're looking for customers who want that type of work. What is the price point that you are targeting in terms of that person as well? You know, in terms of pricing, many people think that they win work by being low cost, by being low price. The truth of it is, with certain customers, you actually need to be increasing your price to attract the right kind of customer. I know for some of you that will sound crazy, but some customers will look at low price, whether we're talking about buying a watch, whether we're talking about buying a time away at a resort, whether you're talking about a service, buying a service, they will look at the price, and if the price is lower than they expect to pay, they won't. That could be the best service in the world, but if the price is lower than they expect to pay, because they have this mental connection that the price equals the value, therefore if you're charging £25 and they're thinking it's going to be worth somewhere in the region of £75, then they're going to think 25 is too cheap. There's something not right here. So the guy charging 75 is going to actually win the work, and he may not be like you. But the pricing and understanding your ideal customer, the type of work that you want to do for this individual, where you want to define yourself, all of this sets you apart as being unique in your potential customers' eyes. So number two, identify your ideal customer and understand what sets you apart from other electricians for working with that ideal customer. Next thing you need to do then is write down, what are your marketing goals? Now, we're not talking here about your overall goals, your overall business ambitions, and so on and so forth. We're talking about purely your marketing goals. What do you want to achieve from your marketing aims? You need to sit down and write out the outcomes that you want. So, for example, if I use the example that I've got on the page here, do you want to increase your profits, and if so, by how much? And you need to define this. You cannot just say, I want to increase my profits. You need to define it. I want to increase my profits by at least 25. I don't know why I put the pound sign in there, by at least 25%. So I want an increase of 25, or I want an increase of 10%. You know, if you're not as ambitious as me, or I want an increase of 50% if you're even more ambitious than me. But you cannot just say, I want more profits. You've got to define it, because you know, when you write down your goals, when you define what it is you want, like I said earlier, you've got a target to reach. And if you start pushing towards that target, then even if you don't make the 25%, you may make 15%, you may make 20%, you may make 22%, but you're heading towards a target. If you don't have a target, so if you've got, I want to increase profits, well, yippity do, you know, if you get one more pound over the course of a 3-month period, you've increased your profits. Do you understand? It's got to be defined. Okay, so what else? Reduce travel. So you may be at the moment subcontracting, you may be traveling 70, 80 miles a day. And one of your marketing aims may be that as part of this, I want to market myself so that I don't have to travel 70 miles. So that means that that will help you then define when you sit down to do your marketing calendar, when you sit down to do your marketing plan, that'll help you to define where you're going to promote your business, how you're going to promote your business. Because one of your goals, one of your aims, as far as this marketing plan is concerned, is to reduce your travel down to a 10-mile radius. So again, define what it is that you actually want to do. What else may you have as a goal? Well, you may only want to work Monday to Friday. Well, some of you, and I know some of the toolboxers have achieved this already, some of you may want to go down to a 4-day working week. In fact, we've got a toolboxer who's doing a 3-day working week at the moment. So, you know, you may, as part of your plan, you may say, right, okay, so within this marketing plan, I want to build in that by the end of the quarter, by the end of the year, I want to be only working 5 days a week, or I only want to be working 4 days a week, or I only want to be working 9 to 4 each day. But if you build that into your plan, you have a goal to achieve, and then you can start building your marketing plan around achieving that goal. And that may look like the increase in prices that you introduce. It may be the type of work that you start marketing. You may say, right, if I'm going to achieve the financial goal I want to allow me to only work 4 days a week, what do I need to do? Maybe what I need to do is 3 consumer units in a week, or 6 fault finding jobs in a week, and then you start promoting and marketing towards getting those things that are going to give you that time back. Hopefully this is making sense. Develop your marketing assets. And what do we mean by developing your marketing assets? Well, what are you going to use to achieve the goals that you want to achieve? What are you going to use to target the people that you've defined as your ideal customer? What are you going to use to get your message out there? And remember, marketing is about, it's as much about getting the message about who you are and what you do out there as it is about selling. The advertising component of your marketing is what sells your services. The marketing component is what positions you, and selling is only a small part of the marketing component. Advertising is only a small part of the marketing component. Hopefully that's making sense. So develop your marketing assets. What are you going to use? Are your audience using YouTube? And my answer to that is very simply, yeah. If you're working in the domestic market, they are using YouTube. Definitely. And they're using Facebook as well. And for all of you who say, oh, I'm not getting any business on Facebook, or I'm attracting the wrong kind of people, it's because you're doing the wrong kind of activities to attract the wrong kind of people. But, you know, have you got a YouTube channel in place? Have you got a Facebook page for your dedicated for your business in place? Have you got, not so much these days, but still there, Twitter? What other marketing platforms do you need in place? What other assets do you need? Have you investigated what local community ads or community magazines are available in your area? Do you know what networking meetings take place in your area? What other assets can you put in place? Have you written a series of emails? Did you set up your Aweber? Have you got Aweber ready and working for you? Is it organized in a way that as you bring new people into your business, it's going to continue to nurture them? Is it set up in a way that you can actually use it to market to fresh people? The fifth thing that you need to have in place, or to understand before sitting down to create your marketing plan, is your marketing budget and understanding your marketing budget. Now, what I mean by understanding your marketing budget is not necessarily saying to yourself, I'm only going to spend £500 and that's it. That's not how we operate as far as marketing is concerned. My belief as far as marketing is concerned is that you need to track your marketing for at least 3 months to see what kind of results you are getting from it. So that's all aspects of your marketing. So if you're running ads in, say, a community magazine, you will not have definitive data on that magazine for at least 3 months. So you need to be prepared to run that ad in that magazine for 3 months and potentially lose every penny. I know this sounds crazy, but potentially you won't. Following the toolbox strategy, you won't. But you need to be prepared up here to say, I'm going to spend, let's say, it could be more. I'm prepared to spend 500 quid over 3 months to test this magazine. That's what you're in essence saying. because you then come away from that with data, and the data you come away with is because we have tracking numbers, we record the details, we understand our conversions. You come away from that with data and you say, right, what did that 500 quid generate for me? Did that 500 quid generate several £1,000s for me? Great, now it works. Or did I spend that 500 quid and only get my 500 back, or only get 200 back, or whatever, right? Then we know it's not working. But you can only do that after trying something for 3 months. So whenever you're working out your marketing, always budget for 3 months of a new marketing campaign. But then don't waste that campaign. That is your test campaign. I've just used advertising in a magazine. This could be the very same thing for leaflets. If you're going to distribute 10,000 leaflets, you've got to look at what is the cost of purchasing the leaflets, what is the cost of having those leaflets distributed. So it's having them printed, having them distributed. You put that cost of that 10,000 together, and then you look at it. What did I get as a return from that leafleting campaign? Again, we use tracking numbers. We check our conversions, and you should be doing this, guys. Some people think, no, I've just got to get tools out and go out and do work. You've got to do this admin work as well. And we make this simple by using tracking numbers and making sure that we can record how many calls are coming in. Then we've got to do a little bit of manual work to work out conversions. So how many calls came in against how much work did we get? How much of that work generated how much of the revenue? Then we can look at it and say that leafleting campaign was a success. Not just, oh, it brought in a bit of work, I think, but that leafleting campaign was a success. And when we know how successful it is, if I know that by spending, and this is the analogy, it's the one-armed bandit analogy, right? If I know from tracking my records that if I spend £100, and I'm just pulling £100, if I spend £100 on doing a leafleting campaign, I know that that's going to generate, say, £700. Then that's great. I don't say I'm going to limit myself to £100. I will say, right, what happens if I spend £200? Do I get an equal return? Do I get 1,400 now? What happens if I spend 300 quid, and on and on? And you'll reach a point where you think, right, it's not worth spending more. This is organizing a budget. This isn't, most people will say, oh, I'll allow £500. That's not budgeting. Budgeting is when you can look at it and say, if I spend 100, it gives me a return of X. If I spend 200, that gives me a return of X plus X, right? Until you get to a point where you say, right, well, when I get to £500, I don't see the same uplift. I don't see that same increase. So 500 is my optimum. That's what I'm going to spend on this. And I'm going to spend that. I'm going to continue monitoring that as long as I'm getting that return. And while I'm getting that level of return, and for me, it was a 7 times return. For some people, it'll be a 10 times return. For some people, it'll be a 3 times return. That's got to be a personal judgment. But I would look at something and say, if I'm going to spend £100, I want to get £700 back, at least £700 back, before I would call that a success. Now, I'm not saying for you that that's going to be the case. You might say, if I get 3 times back, that's a success, and be happy with that. That's great. That's your business. Okay. And some of you may say you want a 10 times return on your investment. And that's fine as well. But the point is, you've got to be getting a return on your investment. If you're just breaking even, that's great. It's good for building up your name and your character and all of that kind of thing. But you've got to look at what's the scalability of just breaking even. If I spend £200 and I break even, then if I spend £400, I break even. What's the scalability in that? You've got to look at. Okay.